Cameraman Phil, there he is, at the helm. Phil does interact, then he will be raising his voice a bit. So anyway, let's get on with it. So, quite a long time since we featured this vehicle. So this is Phil's. So Phil's come down, he's the owner of the Mk3 Focus RS, the Black Beast, which has been ongoing, lots of progress, lots of development, changing things and waiting for the people. I do my bit, I'm mega busy, so Phil understands. I've got to try and fit it in when I can, amongst other ones. Robert's on the ramp there, look, see? So things like that, you know, so, and then ongoing progress with, obviously we've got Monty's there and we got the little beast there. So it's, yeah, it's only so many hours in a day. And when I say about other people, I can't do any of the software or the calibrations because this car runs Cyvex. We need to then rely on Romain. Mr. Cyvex basically, isn't he? And he's mega busy, so we have to wait our turn. So I'll try and cram in as much as I can about the car and what we've done, as it was before, as it is now, what the end result's been, and yeah, go from there. But like I say, Phil's here, he's brought my van back, which I'm seeing for quite a while. We can go have some fun in this one. Do his cleaning and all that sort of stuff and get reacquainted with the car, Phil, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Be good, wouldn't it? The car started originally when it came to me, and we put a Mount Tune, what did you have on it originally? Mount Tune 375, which was the pretty norm for most people back then, wasn't it? They had the, I mean, Revel came out with the, which obviously they were Revel Stage 1, and then we put a Revel Stage 2 on it, Phil, didn't we?
Yeah.
Which incorporated intercooler, so we've got a Pro Alloy intercooler on it. We didn't go the, Phil wanted to go a different route, he didn't want to go with the faux package for the Stage 2 on the Revel side of it, he wanted to split it, so we went for Pro Alloy intercooler, all the pipe work, and obviously the Revel Stage 2 software and things like the rear lower motor mount, and the intake was, you already had an intake, so you already had the AirTech intake on it, didn't you? Yeah, so we didn't need the faux package, carbon crossover pipe. So the police car, for example, the Mk3 Focus RS police car that we've done all the work on, that runs a Stage 2 performance pack, which is all the carbon intake and Revel intercooler and pipe work and all that sort of stuff. So on Phil's, that's how it started off. And it's gone through different phases, and then we talked about, I wanted to create a big turbo conversion, which was like levels and levels up from what other people were doing. Because I wanted to go a route where it was custom, I didn't want to copy what other people were doing. Now this involves quite a lot of other people, which then results in a long time. It's just a project thing, isn't it? So you have to test things, you get things wrong, you got to then redo it, and that don't work, right, let's try this. That's where I wanted to go. I was originally going to do it on my own RS, but Phil's come along, we thought, let's use Phil's as a development car. This has been quite ongoing, this car, and through different phases, as I said. It already had Stage 2 side of things, it was just the 2.3 block, the normal stuff. And then we went to, right, if we're gonna go that route, we have to heavy duty this, right? So obviously then, this is years back, man, you know, it seems like it wasn't, Phil, it seems quite recent, doesn't it? But it is a long time because of the lockdown and all this sort of stuff. But we went for the 2 litre, which is closed deck. Now that block that's fitted to the ST250s, you wouldn't believe it, but it's a better, more heavy duty block, all machined, and that's what we use. Closed deck, original head, so this has got a brand new head on it. We don't mess around with the existing one, so even though the car has not done that many miles, all right, so new head. And the reason why it's had a new head is because the head was then sent to Rickwood at CNC Heads. So Rickwood Motorsport is CNC Heads basically. You can look him up and see what he's all about with his Calsonic GTR Skyline R32 and his V8 supercar Holden and all his Capris and all that sort of stuff. So he's quite 40. Head on this was fully ported and machined. So he's doing that whilst I'd already done all the other bits on it. And oversized valves fill. So that's what we've done. So standard valves, out they come. So it's got 1 mil oversized inlets and exhaust. So the inlets will be nitride, I think they call it, coated. And then the exhaust ones are Inconel sodium filled. So basically, the reason, it's just for the heat, right? So having and they're a lot lighter. So having a 1 mil oversize is better, isn't it? Because it gives you more flow, which is going to gain you more, you'd think, more power and torque, wouldn't you? The car's got specific MJP custom cams in this car to go with the setup that it's got regarding the turbo, and you've got double valve springs, but the cams are done by Piper Cams. So John at Piper Cams, you know, the main man there, created it with all the information I gave him. The car ran what we were anticipating it reaching, and he developed the cams for it and made a superb job. And then turbo side of it. So Matt and his team at Turbo Dynamics created this turbo. It's not an off-the-shelf turbo. It's based on, so it's a Garrett G series. So originally a G30 660 was what it originally would have come as, all right? But it's been custom built. So effectively larger inlet compressor wheel, and then some changes to it. So basically it's a G30 770 on this car, but not the same as the one that you get off the shelf, because we've used the original smaller housing, so we get a bit more low down pickup. It's all about controlling lag. So low down pickup and mid-range, not worried so much about right up the top, you know, when you're wringing its neck and all that sort of stuff and doing like 2-mile airstrip runs and trying to get maximum speed and all this sort of stuff. That's not what we've done this car for, all right, which we'll explain a bit later, what, you know, how it drives and the reason for that and all that sort of stuff. But yes, so the turbo is a custom built. It's a reverse rotation turbo, which means when it's reverse rotation doesn't mean that the turbo spins the opposite way. That's not what it means. It means that reverse rotation means that on the housing, it's the other way round. So for install, because the way it's very tight, compact, so you haven't got a lot of room down the back of the engine because the turbo's down the back. For room, you won't get the standard one to fit, not the way we've done it anyway, because no clearance for the block and all that sort of stuff. So reverse rotation means that it's around the opposite way, so that your connections are different, right? So obviously custom, all the connections are custom to it. We sent away the housing, the exhaust part, to be Cerakote on it with a coating in the black, and a metallic black. It's externally gated, so there's no internal gate on the turbo, you know, wastegate, actuator like you would find on the standard setup. I mean, there's other versions like Precision do a drop-in, which is basically like a hybrid, bigger version of the standard one. Everything's plug and play, away you go, brilliant. You need to run custom software on it, but that's easy. I don't want to go easy. You want to create your own custom side of things and test the hell out of it, make sure it's all good, so then you can offer it to the market, which is what we've done here. The inlet manifold, we already talked about the cams and all that sort of stuff. So on the inlet manifold, we'll show you in a minute. So Phil's got a stick with a mount tune one, Phil, didn't it? So that's been modified to run the extra injector setup. So that's quite straightforward. That's always been like that. Just like I say, it's just been modified. I'll open the bonnet. That's pretty easier to talk about, isn't it? And so we were just talking about the inlet manifold. There it is. So the extra injectors, right? So you've got the first is the extra port injectors. All right. So these are 1300. These are Bosch Motorsport injectors, 1300 cc ones. So they're quite good. We could have gone bigger, but speaking to Romain and Lee at Devil Developments with regards to the experience and the knowledge that, you know, they've had, more so Lee, with these engines and doing various things to them over the years, you just take advice off them basically with that side of it. So that's what we've gone for. So it's a mount tune rail to go with a mount tune inlet manifold. So one of our technical partners and good friends, Julian down at Proform Engineering, he's the one who's done all the fabrication basically on this car. Nobody else has touched it. So he's done fabbed up the inlet manifold to accept not the port injectors, petrol port injectors, because they're already in. They just got blanks in them, which you've got to just obviously get out before you put the port injectors in. But the meth injectors, they have to be, the bosses have to be put in there because there's nothing there. All right, so there's quite a complex setup.
The angle was pretty cool too, wasn't it?
Yeah, the angle, absolutely. Yeah. Some people use these for the meth and remachine them. That's fine if you're not running port injection, but that wasn't an option because we're running. So effectively, this car runs 12 injectors. So it's got the 4 DIs under there and behind there, look, which are the standard DI injectors, We don't need to change the DI injectors. We don't need to change the uprate the DI pump. We're not doing it that way. So other people, everybody to their own, people do it differently. So with regards, so for example, somebody else might not go the meth route. They might not go the port injection route. They might just go bigger DI injectors and an uprated DI pump. That's fine, but you'll be limited what you can produce on that. 100% you'll be limited. The other route to go is you could have uprated DI pump, uprated injectors, DI injectors, maybe port injectors as well, but no meth. So there's lots of different ways of doing it. The meth is really good. I'm quite big into the meth. Another one of our technical partners, Bruce at Devil's Own and Cool and Mist, that's all Bruce. He's got the UK market for all of that. The most knowledgeable person that I know about methanol. There's nothing that he doesn't know about meth. So we've been dealing with Bruce for quite a long time and he knows his stuff. That's the route we've gone, as you can see. And we know it works because it's all been thoroughly calibrated and tested and all that sort of stuff. Crossover plate, 3.5 inch crossover plate. This has been made by Julian again, down at Proform Engineering. We stuck, you can't go using a standard airbox on this. It would be, it's just, you wouldn't do it. So that comes out to open cone. All our hoses are done for us by JS Performance. They've even supplied us the foam filter at the end. Beautifully wrapped by my wife Laura. She likes all that feel, doesn't she?
Oh yeah.
But there's certain things you've got to modify. That you've got to modify under here, look. So the scuttle, plastic, that's all that have to be sort of like filed out. A little die grinder, because you were changing it from quite a small, I think what you had before, Phil, 2.5 inch, something like that.
Yeah, it was the original AirTech.
Yeah. So Robert's got the 3.5 inch on his. Was it with 3 inch, 2.5, 3 inch? I can't remember anyway. But the reason why you got it running that big is volume, like we were talking about with the valves, volume of air. The other one is too restrictive, and you don't need that size on a, I don't know, stage 2, 400 horsepower, 450 horsepower, whatever. You don't need. It'll help, but you don't need. The only reason we've done that is because this is completely custom, and we tried it with the previous one, Phil, didn't we?
Yeah.
And like Romain was saying, it's too restrictive. You need to, and Lee at Devil Devent, it's too restrictive. From what we've learned, crucial with gains in power and torque. So that's why Julian made that. We'll get to the party piece in a minute when we put it up on the ramp and show you the exhaust. So again, Julian's fabricated from all of it, apart from the rear silencer, which we'll show you in a minute, which was already original. And we'll talk to you about, when we're underneath the car, we'll talk to you about what was on it before, exhaust-wise, and what's been retained, and all that sort of stuff. But, so under the bonnet, sticking with that, you can see all the meth, braided meth lines. It's quite complex down there, the way it works and all that sort of stuff. So, and the nozzle setup. So this runs a 6 nozzle setup. So you can see 4 there. There's one in the intercooler as well. And then there's another one as well, which will let you work that out yourselves. All right, so it's like it's spraying 6 methanol nozzles. So 4 in there, look, 1 in the intercooler, and there's another one. Just keep you guessing on that one, and you can comments down below where you think the other one is. Just a bit of fun, really, isn't it? It's not a game show or anything. You don't win any money, Phil. Yeah.